All right, guys. So the other thing you learned in class during our workshop stations was another type of factoring called factoring out the coefficient. Some of you guys find this one easier because you don't have to know your GCF, and others of you find this more difficult because typically we're dealing with fractions and decimals. So that just means we have more off to the side work that needs to happen. So it means you guys cannot be lazy for factoring out the coefficient. Kids who end up being lazy during this process almost always get it wrong. So make sure you're taking your time. So before you guys can factor out the coefficient, you have to understand what the term coefficient means. So co often means like together or partner. So the coefficient is the number that always shows up with the variable. So in this situation, 3x, 3 is the coefficient. For y is the coefficient. Negative 3m, negative 3 is the coefficient. 1/2 w, 1/2 is the coefficient. So the coefficient is the number that is attached or being multiplied to the variable. Some kids struggle with this one here, like if I had 2w plus 6. The 6 is not attached to the variable. It's separated by this plus sign. So the 2 is the coefficient. So when we're factoring out the coefficient, every single time what says goodbye and divides is the number that's being written next to the variable. So let's look at an example here. Let's say we have the problem 1/2 m plus 4. So there is absolutely no reason here to to find our factors. What we're going to do is we are instantaneously going to pull out the 1/2. So I'm going to show you guys two ways to do this. The first way we're going to do it is with our box method. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. Oops. So 1/2 m plus 4. We're going to box it in, making sure to separate our unlike terms. And I'm going to tell you right now, I automatically know my 1/2 is going to say goodbye, but I need to rewrite these as multiplication problems. So it's 1/2 times something that would give me 4. Okay, so half of 8 would give me 4. So this is going to be an 8 here. A lot of people want to write 2 because half of 4 is 2. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying 1/2 of what gives me 4. So that would be 8. Okay, so I'm going to pull out a 1/2 to the front. That means this half and this half are now gone. So my answers on the inside are m plus 8. So my final answer to this problem would be 1/2 on the outside, m plus 8. So remember, when we're factoring, we're undoing a distributive property. So notice how we went from a simplified version to a non-simplified version. Now, I strongly recommend that you guys always check your answers, but most specifically on coefficient problems, because kids get these wrong more often than they get the other ones wrong. So we're going to distribute, and we get 1/2 m, and 1/2 of 8 is 4. So it does match our original problem up here. Oops, up here. So that means we are good to go, and we can move on to our next problem. So now I'll show you an example with the box method and decimals. So let's say we're dealing with the problem 1.5 w minus 3. Okay, first thing we need to do here is KCC. And then we're going to rewrite our problem using the box method. So I'm going to change my color back to black here. So we got 1.5 w plus negative 3, and we're going to box it in, making sure to separate our unlike terms. All right, so I know 1.5 is what's being pulled out, so I don't have to find my factors. So I'm going to rewrite these as multiplication problems. And then I have enough knowledge that I know that 1.5 times negative 2, it takes two 1.5s to give me negative 2. If you guys didn't know that, then you would need to come off to the side and do 3.0 divided by 1.5. move your decimal points, and then it's how many times does 15 go into 30, which is 2. And then remember, we're trying to make -3, so it does have to be -2. So I'm going to pull out a 1.5 to the front, cancel, cancel. So what's left on the inside is this. So my final answer is 1.5 times W plus -2. We can always check our answers, and I highly, highly recommend it so that you guys don't get negatitis, or we should probably have a word like fractionitis when we do our fractions wrong. I guess this one's decititis. All right, and then 1.5 times 2 is -2 is -3. Oops, I forgot my W. So we do get the same answer as the one above. All right, if you are not a fan of the box method, but you like say goodbye and divide because it's the opposite of say goodbye or say hello and multiply, then this would be the one for you. So let's say we're dealing with the problem 1/4 k plus 3. Okay, so because we're factoring out the coefficient, we automatically know without doing any factors that this is what is going to say goodbye. So 1/4 leaves the party, and then everything up here needs to get divided by 1/4. So we're going to do 1/4 divided by 1/4, and 1/3 divided by 1/4. All right, so 1/4 divided by 1/4, guys, is a 1. I'll tell you right now, it's always going to be a 1 variable. Because we're dividing by the coefficient, it's always going to be a 1 here. All right, and then 3 divided by 1/4, we're going to go off to the side. If I do not see off to the side work here, guys, I'm going to flip my lid. Okay, you do not know what 3 divided by 1/4 is without your off to the side work. So it ends up being plus 12. Okay, let's distribute, make sure we are right. So I'm going to distribute, so I get 1/4 k, it's a good sign. And then 1/4 of 12 is 3. Nice job. I just complimented myself, saying nice job to myself. All right, let's try another one. How about 1/3 r plus 9? Now, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Please follow my instructions, or most of you guys are going to get this one wrong. I guarantee it. I even know the answer you guys would give me. If you do this wrong, you're going to get 1/3 r plus 3. Okay, that is not the correct answer. If you're thinking, yes, it is right now, watch and learn. All right, my coefficient here is 1/3, so I automatically know that's what's saying goodbye to the party. So 1/3 leaves, he had a good time, he's outside the party, and then everything inside the party is going to get divided by 1/3. 1/3 divided by 1/3 is 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. And then we're going to do 9 divided by 1/3. Okay, come off to the side and do your off to the side work. KCF, and it becomes 9 times 3, which equals 27. Okay, if you told me the answer was 3, you're dividing by 3 and not dividing by 1/3. All right, you gotta be really, really careful there. Most of you are going to make this mistake at some point, so try to not be that person. Let's distribute. I get 1/3 r, and 1/3 of 27 is 9. I'm back up to my original answer, which means this is correct, and this is factored out the coefficient. All right, guys. Pick a method you like. If you're a box method person, that's wonderful. If you are a say, goodbye, and divide person, also wonderful. You just have to make sure that you are doing your off to the side work, or you will get this wrong at least 75% of the time. All right, I hope this helps. Please watch this as many times as you need. Rewind, pause, and then come see me if you have questions tomorrow.